Good morning, my beautiful people. Okay, so I know it's been a couple days or a week, whatever, since I uploaded. I've just been extremely busy. I have like appointments here, appointments there, Zoom calls here, Zoom calls there. It's just like one thing after another, after another. I barely have time to breathe or, you know, take a shit. So here we are. Anyway, the kids and I are going to do pumpkins today, and I'm super excited. I'm going to save the pumpkin seeds and bake the pumpkin seeds in the oven, put a little salt on them. Yeah, I haven't done that. I remember my grandmother doing that, so I'm not too sure. I'm pretty sure Google can tell me how to do it, how long to put it in it for, what temperature, and all that good stuff. You know, I was going through, well, I wasn't actually going through. Somebody brought it to my attention that there were some ignorant motherfuckers that were leaving fuck-ass comments on one of my videos pertaining to, oh, you should have had an abortion. And then turn around and say, oh my God, I can't believe you put him up for adoption. Bitch, which the fuck is it? Which the fuck is it? And let me just say this. You know, motherfuckers are really big and bold when it comes to the internet. When it comes to, you know, like people like to call them keyboard warriors. That's exactly what the fuck they are. Because none of the motherfuckers would ever say that shit to my motherfucking face. Ever. Ever. Let me say this, okay? Before anybody has any motherfucking room to talk, you better know the whole motherfucking story and all the facts and fact check your motherfucking selves before you have any kind of motherfucking opinion on my motherfucking life. I didn't even know that I was motherfucking pregnant until I was going on my 8th motherfucking month. So explain to me, Karens, how in the fuck was I supposed to have an abortion? Because I'm just going to keep it all the way real. I'm going to keep it 100%. I would have had an abortion. I would have. That was the first thing when I found out that I was pregnant. My grandmother was with me in the room. And the doctor came in and he slammed his motherfucking folder on the table. Because he knew it was his fuck up. It was his office's fuck up. And he slammed it and he was like, God damn it, you're fucking pregnant. That's exactly what the fuck he said. God damn it, you're fucking pregnant. And my grandmother was like, well, you know where we're going, right? And he was like, it may be too late for that. That's exactly what happened. And then the very next day, he ended up, you know, getting in contact with one of his one of his colleagues or whatever. And I went there, had an ultrasound and everything. Found out I was going on my 8th month, going into my 8th month with a baby boy. My whole life seemed like it flashed before my eyes when I found that shit out, man. And how I didn't know, okay, before anybody comes, how the fuck did you know you wasn't pregnant till you was almost 8 months? Well, it's a fucking thing. It fucking happens, okay? First off, I was thin, okay? And not as thin as I am now, but I was, you know, I was in shape. I was playing softball. I was very active. I was doing kickboxing, going to jazzercise, you know, running and jogging. So I kept in shape. And I remember coming downstairs and I fixed a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with pickles in the middle. I went upstairs to my room and I looked at myself in the mirror and I saw a little bump okay? And I'm like, man, I felt like I was getting fat. I was gaining, you know, I didn't know if I was gaining weight because I never got on the scales or anything, but I can just tell, you know what I mean? Like, I saw like a little bump. And I remember that same day, my grandmother and I was at Walmart, and we were walking in the frozen aisle, and my grandmother was like, if I didn't know any better, I would think that you're fucking pregnant. That's exactly what she said. Nobody knew. I didn't even know I was pregnant because I was on the birth control shot. After, now I can talk freely about this just because, you know, TikTok, I made a video response to somebody on there, but I can go into details on here without getting, you know, reported. So after the rape happened that, you know, Paul Joseph Schuler did to me when I was 14. And what I mean by rape is when he came down, I remember sitting on the futon. I was playing a fucking video game. It was Mario Brothers, okay? He came down. I remember that night to the T. I was wearing overall bibs, Tommy Hilfiger. I had a long sleeve white shirt underneath. And there was an alarm clock there, 7:11. I believe that was on right 7:11 p.m. And he came downstairs, okay? This was the first time that he, you know, he was meeting my family or whatever. He had met my aunt, my uncle, my cousins, whoop-de-whoop. He went to the bathroom, and I said, you know, I'm going downstairs, you know, just meet me down there. So I ended up, you know, playing the video game, whatever. He comes down there, and he starts kissing me. We start making out or whatever, and I just felt uncomfortable. Even by just making out with him, I just felt uncomfortable. So I tried to stop, and I, you know, leaned back or whatever, and he moved the controller out of my hands. Okay, we still, you know, was kissing or whatever, and then he, you know, basically takes me from the futon, you know, to the ground, undo my strap from my overalls, pulls it down, and I said, whoa, wait a minute, because I was still a virgin at that time. And I said, look, I'm still a virgin. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And he was like, man, just relax, just go with it. That's exactly what the fuck he said. Just go with it. Just relax. It's okay. And I'm like, no. And I tried to close my legs, okay? But he was in between my legs. And I remember him putting my arms right above my head, and he just went ahead and did what the fuck he did. Didn't wear protection, nothing. And after he was done, you know, he went upstairs, and, you know, he ended up leaving, and I went into, Marius. He likes to dig in my flower bed, and that's exactly what the hell he did. Anyway, squirrel. But I remember going upstairs into the bathroom. There was a bathroom downstairs by the garage, and I waited in the bathroom until he left. I can hear, you know, the front door or whatever, because the front door had an alarm on it. Anyway, so he left, and I ended up telling my aunt what the fuck happened. Okay, and she told me to go upstairs, take a shower, you know, what it was. And I know this now. My aunt liked him. My aunt liked him. As in, like, she wanted to fuck him. That's what it was. And she was fucking him. Okay? Not that night. I mean, it took maybe like a week before they fucked, but you get what I'm saying. Anyway, a couple weeks later, and I was still talking to him. After this incident happened, and I don't know why. I felt like, you know, because I did like him. You know, he was my crush or whatever, my first crush, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Woof. Anyway, but I still kept in contact with him. I still called him. He still came over. For the most part, when he would come over, I would try to avoid him, but I was still talking to him, if that makes any sense. It was totally fucking weird. But every time I would get home from school, because the bus would drive past my aunt's house, I would see his little red pickup truck in the driveway. And I had a friend, Holly, and a friend, I forget her name, obviously. She's not, but, you know, anyway. I would go to their house until, you know, he left. And I realized that he would leave right before my aunt's husband, you know, my step-uncle, would come home. So, but I was young back then, you know, I didn't put two and two together, okay, until years later. Anywho, and I remember a couple, you know, like I said, after that incident happened of him raping me, okay, because when you say no, that means motherfucking no, that means stop. Anyway, so a couple weeks later, he comes over. It was my aunt's anniversary, I believe, and her and my step uncle went out for dinner, and he came over. He had like 4 trash bags with him. He was like, look, just go talk to your cousin, keep them occupied. And he packed all my clothes, put them in the back, you know, in the bed of his truck. And I told my cousin, Mom, I'm just going down the street to the gas station. I'll be back. And she said, well, hurry up, make sure that you come back because Mom's going to be back soon. I'm like, oh, I'll be back, don't worry. So I leave, we go to the hotel, and that was it. I remember his mother calling him, and she was screaming. I can hear her on the phone, and she was screaming at him, and she was like, do you know how old she is? You need to take her back right fucking now. What are you doing? And he was like, well, they're abusing her. You know, he made up all this fucking shit, okay? Saying that my uncle, my step-uncle, was physically abusing me, which he never physically abused me. I'll say that. Mentally, yes, but physically, no, because I would beat the motherfucking brakes off anybody that would put a motherfucking hand on me. Anyway, so I remember the very next day, we get up extra early. He ends up going to the store or whatever. I wait in the truck, and then we head on. We were going to Georgia, I think, or North Carolina or South Carolina. I can't remember. I think Georgia. Anyway, so we got caught by like the borderline of Ohio and like Westby, I think. And yeah, I remember the state. We actually passed a highway state patrol, and right when we passed them, he ends up coming, puts his lights on, and arresting him. My aunt had to come down. My aunt and uncle came down to get me from the police station, and I told my aunt, you know, I told her, I was like, well, you know, didn't want to believe me that, you know, he raped me, so why the fuck would I want to stay with you anymore? And it didn't make any sense. I remember telling her that, but it didn't even make any sense to me now. Like, why the fuck, if she didn't believe me that he raped me, why the fuck would I leave with the guy that raped me? I was all fucked up in the head. Anyway, I remember her taking me to Children's Hospital to get checked out because she wanted a rape test done and whoop-de-whoop. And I refused. I said no because I never had anything like that done down there. Like, I don't know what the fuck they was doing or what they were checking for, how to do it, when to do it. Now I'm not doing it. Nope. And the doctor said, well, we can't do it. Even though you want it done, we can't do it if she says no, because it's like raping her all over again. So the very next day, she ends up taking me to the family doctor, okay? And it was Dr. Pashis in Pickerington, Ohio. And they did a pregnancy test on me, and it was negative. So they gave me the birth control shot in my ass, my hip, whatever. 3 months later, I go back. The nurse, she don't work there anymore. So anyway, the nurse, she failed to give me a drug test. What do you call it? A pregnancy test. So, but what did happen was that first day when I went there and they did give me a pregnancy test. They also did like a pap smear to check for STDs or whatever, and he gave me chlamydia. So I had to get another shot. I had to take like a couple pills, I believe, and another shot in my motherfucking ass, and that shit hurt. So yeah, he was dirty as fuck. So that was my first time ever having an STD. So anyways, I got the birth control shot, okay? 3 months later, I go back. The nurse failed to give me a pregnancy test, but she gave me a shot. 3 months later, okay? Now, are you following me now? Following me? Okay, so 6 months. 3 months later, I go back and get another shot. You following me? A couple weeks later, or maybe like a month later, I don't know. I remember that's when the incident happened. We were actually shopping for school clothes, okay? At the time, I was like a size, like, I don't know, 11 maybe. And I remember none of my 11s fit. I couldn't button them. So I was like really like depressed at this time. I was like, man, what the hell's going on? I was trying to starve myself, trying to lose weight. I was working out so fucking much. I was, like I said, I was playing softball, I was doing kickboxing, I was jogging, I was, doing jazzercise. Like, there's so much stuff that I was doing every single day so I can lose weight, because I felt like I was gaining fucking weight, and it was a baby. that I was gaining, but I didn't fucking know. And you know, we went school shopping. I had to get like the size 13 pants, and I was so fucking like irritated with my whole entire existence. And my grandmother and I went to, because we were shopping at Burlington Coat Factory when we went back to school shopping, and we ended up going to Walmart. We was in the frozen aisle, frozen food aisle. My grandmother was like, if I didn't know any better, you look like you're pregnant. So that same day I came, you know, my grandmother dropped me back off at my aunt's house, and that's when I fixed a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with pickles in the middle. I go upstairs, I eat it, and I remember looking at myself in the mirror, pulled my pants down, pulled my shirt up, and I saw like a little bump. I'm like, man, there's something that's not right. So I had a stack of, you know, books I put on my stomach, and I started doing crutches. Because I'm like, I'm getting this bulge away from me. All of a sudden, I felt something move. I obviously, you know, my son was kicking me, telling me to fucking stop. So I go downstairs and I say something to my aunt. I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I felt something. I'm feeling something move in my stomach. And she was like, she looked at me, she looked at my stomach, so she calls the doctor. My grandmother comes back over, takes me to Dr. Pash's office, and he was asking me all these questions. Okay, first off, I went from a B cup to a double D cup in less than a month. And my boobs were really tender, and you know, I was having weird cravings, all this stuff. And he was asking me all like a series of questions. And he was like, all right, let's just take a pregnancy test. And my grandmother was like, oh my God. And he was like, no, let's just take it just to rule it out. I don't think that she's pregnant, but we just have to make sure. We just have to have everything documented. So I remember when we left the room, the doctor and I said, we can show me to the bathroom and give me a cup to pee in. He was like, I don't think you're pregnant, but we just got to rule it out, okay? I'm like, all right, that's fine. I pee in a cup. I go back into the room. I'm sitting there. He comes in, slams the door open, slams his fucking folder on the thing, and he was like, God damn it, you're fucking pregnant. And my eyes just went so fucking big. I'm like, oh my God. I started crying. My grandmother was like, well, you know where we're going, right? And I remember laying down, and he was measuring my belly, and he was like, I think it might be too late for all that. I remember my aunt, or my grandmother was like, all right, we got to call your aunt to come in, because I was living with her at the time. And now this was after hours, like, you know, he saw me in the evening time. And so nobody was in the office. So my aunt comes in, and she was thinking like I had like AIDS or something. That's exactly what the fuck she said. And she sits down, and the doctor was there, and my grandmother was like, she's pregnant. And she looked at me, and she was like, oh no. She wasn't mad. She wasn't mad. She was excited. What it was is she wanted to have a baby. Her and my uncle wanted to have a baby, but she was already fixed. Okay, and when, you know, she was already fixed before she met him. So she meets this guy, you know, and they get married and all this stuff. And I think they were married for like 4 or 5 years before, you know, I got pregnant, and they wanted a baby so bad. So anyway, she was completely fine with it. I wasn't. I did not want to be a fucking mom, man. I'm just going to be honest. I didn't want to be a mom. I felt like I was forced to be a fucking mom by a guy that I liked initially, but he fucking raped me the very first time that we were alone together. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I just... I remember after I gave birth, you know, I felt like I I could have obviously put a lot more effort into being a mother and into raising him and taking care of him. I just didn't want to. I just didn't want to. I'm just going to be honest. I would leave every single day, almost every single day. I would make sure that I would stay busy, try to stay busy so I wouldn't have to be at home with him. Every single time that I was around him and I, held him and stuff, I would have flashbacks of what happened. And I just wasn't meant to have a baby that fucking young. So long story short, I wasn't the best mother. I wasn't even a mother. And it was right, I don't know. I was about to move out. I had saved up enough money to get my own apartment. Actually, that's what I told my aunt. One of my Johns was gonna, pay for everything. And he did. He paid for 4 months. So right before I was going to move out, my aunt calls Children's Services on me because she knew that I was smoking trees, because that's what I did. Okay, I smoked weed and I drank. But she was providing the stuff. She calls Children's Services on me because she thought that I would get my son taken from me and they would place him with her. Little did she know that they did a background check on everybody, and my uncle, her husband, had a domestic violence against her own son, and they said absolutely not, this is not a suitable house for a baby, which it wasn't. So they initially placed him with my grandmother, and then the stipulations were with my grandmother that he was not allowed around my aunt alone. And so, but my grandmother didn't listen. My grandmother allowed him to be around my aunt alone. And so, Children's Services found out. The Children's Services found out, and they placed him with a foster family. I think he was in there with the foster family for a couple months. The foster family wanted to adopt him. My aunt and grandmother was all for the foster family to adopt him. I wasn't. If I wasn't going to raise him, I just felt like he needed to be with family, And so his grandmother said that she would raise him, and I made the dumb decision to allow her to. At that particular time, I thought that was the best thing for him. Obviously now I don't think that. So, hey, I'll be in there in a minute. So, long story short, that's basically what happened. So, I need to get off here if you can't tell. So, yeah. So, make sure all you motherfucking trolls or Karens or whatever the fuck you want to call yourselves, y'all got motherfucking something to say, bitch. Say it with your motherfucking chest and say it to my face. Okay? First off, I was going on my 8th month. Can't have a fucking abortion, so there's that. Secondly, I just didn't want to be a mother. I didn't want to be a mother. God forbid that my 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old ass did not want to be a motherfucking mom. Imagine that. Imagine that. Okay? Oh, well, I was 14, or I was 13, or I was 15 when I had my son, and I kept him. Well, good for fucking you. I'm more than positive that your situation didn't transpire how mine did. I'm more than positive that your family wasn't as fucked up as mine was. Incest, drug addiction, violent, just disgusting fucking human beings. Racist. And here my son, he's not white. Oh, that was another thing too. You know, my grandmother was calling me all kinds of horrors and everything, and, you know, talking about my son not being, you know, fully white. Oh my God, I'm such a horrible person because I don't want my son around racist motherfuckers when he's not fully white. Sit on it and spin on it.